This is Sybert signing into Red Alert 3 on the map Fire Island, and I am super excited for this series because we have WalftheWolf spawning as the red allies in the bottom left side of Fire Island. He is from Team Mates, and on the top right side we have as the blue allies from Team Orbit, c9q9md. That is right, and if you think this is looking familiar, it is because it may very well be. Ownage Machine and myself did indeed cast these finals already. We'll cast them live as they were being played. And this is a best of 7 from the 1v1 5-year anniversary tournament. And I'm also super psyched to go ahead and be casting these finals. A nice pickup there by C9, because I have tried to cast these finals for YouTube about 3, maybe 4 times now. Initially, I had some technological problems, and then, of course, Command & Conquer got shut down, and that made me really depressed. The entire dev studio did get closed. A nice pickup there by WalftheWolf is going to be grabbing that oil derrick before C9 can, but also C9 going to be deploying into that medical tent, giving his Peacekeepers some nice healing ability on the front line. As you can see, he's got a pretty good rate of heal there, which just allows his Peacekeepers to do that much better versus WalftheWolf. We have pretty even numbers here, but with that healing ability, of course, C9 will be able to greatly overpower WalftheWolf. WalftheWolf not really engaging as well as he could be. A couple of his Peacekeepers are getting picked off here, but he is picking off in just about equal numbers C9's Peacekeepers, and it is going to be coming down to the positioning, the concave, and that shield micro, as C9 is doing a pretty good job of focus firing, and with those repairs right on the front line, it is just that much nicer for C9. As you can see, WalftheWolf is going to be pressuring forward, so as I mentioned, I already have cast this series, but that was about a week ago, and I tried to cast it sooner, and then even today, as I tried to cast this series a bunch, I've just been having constant interruptions from work because I have a project that I have to finish, but I think I got that all wrapped up now, so hopefully nothing else happens, and I can get through this series. As I mentioned, it's a best of 7, which means we are going to be seeing 4 games at minimum. The expansion going to be coming out, and not too much crazy happening from either one of these players from what I remember. C9 is going to be going for the airfield before that expansion, but it is going to be an engagement in the middle, drawing our attention back to the center of Fire Island. Of course, these great ridges providing some breakup for the map. But WalftheWolf, he is going to be in possibly a little bit of trouble depending on what C9 decides to do with this airfield. As you can see, he doesn't quite have that tier 2 just yet. I wouldn't imagine. It's possible that he did, and he'll go ahead and get a cryocopter, but for now, it's just going to be Vindicators. So yeah, the series finally being able to be cast for YouTube, and I think that's pretty much it. That was a kind of convoluted intro, as we do have actually 2 Vindicators out on the map. Some nice splash going down there from a C9. Of course, it does take at least 2 bombs to kill off Peacekeepers, but as you can see, when they stack up a little bit there, you can splash quite heavily. WalftheWolf going to be going for an extra engineer and a dog just to keep that engineer safe, make sure that it gets that oil there just fine. WalftheWolf got his 3rd base up and running just fine, but he's going to be facing a fair bit of pressure from C9. Of course, WalftheWolf was able to get the 500 cash back on both of those oil derricks, which means his engineers instantly did indeed pay for themselves. C9 just now going to be grabbing his own 3rd base, but WalftheWolf does have to deal with these Peacekeepers, which are in the front of his base. The Vindicator is going to be super annoying as well. Of course, they're going to be doing huge amounts of splash damage there, taking out at least 4 Peacekeepers there, and now suddenly C9 actually has a pretty hefty numbers advantage. Of course, WalftheWolf does have production advantage. He can reinforce quite quickly, but C9 is definitely winning the war of numbers in that he's killing a lot more Peacekeepers than WalftheWolf is. As you can see, WalftheWolf did just clear up a couple of Peacekeepers, but ultimately C9 is just clearing up that many more Peacekeepers. It is a crazy number. As you can see, WalftheWolf is taking a fair bit of damage, but C9 isn't putting on direct pressure right now. However, this dual racks follow-up could be very dangerous. A really nice pickup there by WalftheWolf, killing 5 Peacekeepers and essentially evening out the odds. The difference, of course, being in the reinforcements. WalftheWolf, actually going to be going for a 4th refinery. I don't know if that's a good idea in the face of this pressure. C9 had the airfield out a good minute or 2 before WalftheWolf, which means that WalftheWolf is going to be playing the catch-up game, and the barracks is just now going to be getting thrown down. He desperately does need more than just 1 multi-gunner turret, I imagine. He's not actually going to be queuing one up just yet. He does have 2 racks, and considering the travel time, it may actually be enough to even out However, C9 has taken down that oil derrick, which is a slight economic difference, but as long as WalftheWolf is able to hold on to this 4th refinery, it won't matter that he lost that oil derrick. But he desperately does need to hold on to that refinery. As you can see, C9 is going to be pushing in with that. With the Conyard, he is going to be building a multi-gunner turret. It looks like nice splash damage all throughout this game. The bomb splitting has been pretty much impeccable by both players, although it looks like WalftheWolf actually loses that Vindicator there. Very unfortunate there. That's 1,200 credits down the drain. I don't know if that Vindicator actually paid for itself. It did probably pick off at least a couple of Peacekeepers, but I'm not exactly sure how many. However, now we have the war of the Peacekeepers, but also the war of those multi-gunner turrets, with both players being able to place down multi-gunner turrets really close to their opponent. C9 is actually going to be packing up there. I'm not sure if he's going to be pushing on down into the main. No, it looks like he is going to be pulling back a little bit there. He might actually be going for slightly better positioning. Nice sell-off there by WalftheWolf, immediately redeploying that turret. May need to go ahead and throw a Peacekeeper in there to help him deal with the infantry as the MCV is rolling in. WalftheWolf is going to have to micro perfectly. The cryo shot does go down. That's going to be a nice move there. However, all of his Peacekeepers are getting a little bit trapped here. There's quite a few that are just running on top of each other, trying to get away from that MCV. 5 or 6 Peacekeepers do get cleaned up there. However, there's not enough DPS from WalftheWolf to actually make use of that cryo shot. More and more Peacekeepers are getting eliminated. The 4th refinery does go down, which means that C9 is now going to be a little bit ahead on the economic footing, although it's not very much. As again, the Vindicator is going to be coming in here, and as you can see, we do have a couple of Javelin Troopers, which will just help C9 deal with those deal with the Vindicators, but also deal with any sort of buildings that much easier. Nice kills here, focusing down the multi-gunner turrets quite rapidly, and as you can see, the Vindicator from WalftheWolf gets eliminated there. That one definitely not paying for itself. We'll do maybe a little bit of splash damage there to those Peacekeepers, but they'll mostly be all right. C9 going to be pushing in and maybe going for the heavier eco before the airfield, before the extra barracks was a bad idea, as now there's nothing for WalftheWolf to crush with. His MCV is still going to be building that multi-gunner turret. Does he get the deploy? Does he get the pack up to go ahead and crush down some of these infantry? It might be the only thing he has left to do, as there goes another barracks and another multi-gunner turret is going to be getting focused down. WalftheWolf does not have any option. He GG's out of this game. Game number 1 does go to c9q9md. A nice pickup there. And actually, it looks like for whatever reason, that multi-gunner turret at the end there didn't quite get destroyed. It was just neutral. But C9 able to crush through in the end there, and really moving in with his MCV that totally disrupted the ranks of WalftheWolf. WalftheWolf was like, oh crap, I don't want to get crushed by that MCV, so I'll pull all of my units back. Oh wait, I just lost my barracks, I just lost my refinery, and what little forces I did have that were standing and fighting got currently completely overwhelmed. So I mean, that was a Red Alert 3. What? Alright, stop trying to crash Red Alert 3, as we are going to be heading into game number 2. Of course, no amount of crashing out of Red Alert 3 will be stopping me from bringing you this series, as we've got some awesome games coming up. As you can see, WalftheWolf ahead in income, but overall, C9 was ahead in units for pretty much that entire game, although really, the units graph is not exactly the most accurate. It is a huge liar. But in just almost 7 minutes, we do have C9 going to be coming up 1 game ahead of WalftheWolf, but WalftheWolf certainly does still have more chances to make this right. He has more chances to bring this back. We'll have to see what he decides to bring in game number 2. Which takes us to Snowplow, and in the north, as the Cyan allies from teammates, we have WalftheWolf. He is, of course, down 1 game against his opponent c9q9md. From Team Orbit in the south, opening up with that barracks. It looks like both of these players are going to be doing that. None of that power plant first sort of nonsense. But as you can see, C9 is going for dual racks, while the follow-up is going to be the power plant, and most likely followed by the refinery for WalftheWolf. So a very slight difference here. C9, I mean, I don't want to say like a super cheesy player, but he is known as being aggressive or cheesy, which, I mean, depending on how you want to look at it, some people call it aggression, some people call it cheese. It depends on who you talk to and what they're doing. But of course, Snowplow, I don't want to say that it's necessarily the cheesiest map, but I feel like it's the map that I see more cheese on than any other map. I don't know if that's technically true, but that is the way I feel. And as you can see with this dual racks opener, the follow-up is going to be just a regular refinery. So C9 may not actually be doing anything too crazy just yet. However, of course, WalftheWolf is going to be a little bit ahead in that eco. just because he didn't go for that dual racks. But C9, as you can see, he's been constantly pumping out these infantry, very similar to what he did last game, and he loves his early infantry. So as you can see, he's actually not going to be heading straight up the middle. However, WalftheWolf may very well have eyes on this. He's got a dog lurking around in C9's base. Both WalftheWolf and C9 are grabbing their oil derricks, of course, on opposite ends of the map. And as you can see, C9 is actually going to be not heading across that bridge as he turns around at the last second there. However, he is going to be hunting for that dog. WalftheWolf going to be running around the map, doing his best to keep that dog alive. C9 going to be transitioning just into the single barracks, and he's got his own dog running around the base of WalftheWolf. However, WalftheWolf is going to be going for that seaport, which is definitely a good idea, as the bridge did get sniped down there. That Javelin Trooper going to be forcing that to go down, and so C9 cannot use that as an attack path. However, now we do have Riptides going to be popping out for WalftheWolf. He wants to make sure that he's able to control infantry quite readily. He does want to be losing super early on to some infantry aggression from C9. However, C9 is going to be following it up with that airfield, which, of course, a very popular build on Snowplow, which neither one of these players went for, is going for the airfield first on the water, and then going for a cryocopter and a Vindicator for a nice little cryocopter rush. However, we do have an airfield as well out of WalftheWolf. Is going to be drafting something, but on the right side, on the left side rather, a dog is going to be pulling up here, killing off that Javelin Trooper. Very annoying for C9. An additional Riptide. This is actually a fair number of Riptides. Typically, you only see about 2 or 3, but 4 is quite a few. And actually, potentially, if a WalftheWolf wanted to go for that tier 2, we could very well be seeing some assault destroyers. That is definitely a possibility, as we do have a cryocopter going to be popping out first, and this is going to be giving C9 a huge advantage here, as these infantry will get slaughtered by the Riptides. But actually, 2 Apollos going to be rolling up at just the right time from WalftheWolf and completely annihilating that cryocopter. There was nowhere for it to run. He desperately tried to run to the saving graces of those rocket launchers from the Riptides, but that was not going to be true, as losing that cryocopter suddenly made his infantry army quite a bit weaker against these Riptides. And of course, utilizing that building to the best of his ability, C9 is going to be pressuring on the front as well. However, the Riptide is going to be pulling back to that airfield, and of course getting those free repairs there, although we do have the airfield being sold off, and an additional cryocopter, which actually this might have been spotted by WalftheWolf. He's got his dog in the base of C9. C9 desperately trying to hold on there to the kind of middle of the map, but it looks like we do have a couple of Apollos going to be moving out, and they will be able to claim an additional cryocopter. You got to think that's 3,200 credits, which did almost literally nothing for C9. He shrunk down a couple of Riptides, but I don't even think any Riptides went down, as we do have a total of 6 Riptides out on the map. Good unit preservation from WalftheWolf, and C9 is now going to be retransitioning before expand into that dual racks. He needs to keep up his unit production, or else he will simply get steamrolled by the mass amount of Riptides that WalftheWolf has been producing this entire time. As you can see, WalftheWolf going to be going a little bit defensive, placing some Riptides around the map and making sure that he's able to ward off any incoming attacks from C9. C9 might actually pick up a kill here on an Apollo node, drops it down to about half health, but C9... oh man, he may be going for a turret push with the infantry in front of it, but he needs to make sure that he rallies in all of his infantry, because if he's going for one of these last push YOLO sort of moves, you got to make sure that you actually bring everything along, that you don't leave stragglers behind, and sometimes you end up with infantry left inside of your base from sold off buildings or whatever. A cryocopter and a Riptide going to be heading out for WalftheWolf. He might actually be able to strike down a couple of these prospectors, maybe only one, as we have nothing actually being produced for C9. However, he is going to be target firing down the seaport. However, the assault destroyer is already out. The Riptide's going to be coming in here. Some nice target firing from WalftheWolf. He is going to be taking out all 4 of those Javelin Troopers quite readily, and actually the spy did get eliminated there. A spy mixed in to the unit. C9 not able to grab at those Riptides. He was trying to just sort of put all of his eggs into one basket, go for a big move, and try to capture a bunch of these Riptides and purchase them for himself. And I do believe in the in-game chat, while this was going on, C9 didn't actually realize that he didn't have $1,000 for that spy special ability, and pretty much his entire attack hinged on getting that spy up close and personal to those Riptides to go ahead and capture those Riptides so that he can turn them onto his side and then use those to win the game versus WalftheWolf, which probably would have worked quite well, but in the end, C9 just could not make it happen. That will do it for game number 2 with some interesting play. I don't know that it was necessarily very smart play out of C9. He really wanted to make those infantry work, and I think going for a transition, as WalftheWolf did, instead of trying to make that kind of wonky play work, it just wasn't a good idea. And once he fell behind in the Apollos, he couldn't really make an airfield work, because you're going to be losing that arms race when you're that far behind. And he'd already invested quite a bit, so some mistakes there made by C9, some good play by WalftheWolf, almost a reversal, where first game it was like, WalftheWolf is the one making the mistakes, C9 is the one playing really well, but they have evened this series up, and we are going to be moving on to game number 3. Which means we are now on Infinity Isle, and spawning as the red allies on the left side. From teammates, it's WalftheWolf. That is right, he is currently evening up the scores. His opponent on the right side is from Team Orbit. He is c9q9md, and he is the winner of the winner's bracket, but we'll have to see here in the grand finals, can he actually take the entire tournament for $40 and an alpha key, which doesn't mean anything anymore, but once upon a time it certainly did, as we do have the dogs going to be moving in. Both teams especially going to be using those dogs in the center ridge. That is, of course, how Infinity Isle does indeed work. And map choice is going to be C9's. He did lose that game, which means he gets to choose the next map, as we have the dogs going to be going in a nice clockwise fashion around the map. And we do have the oil derricks being grabbed by both of these players. They are going to be going for those oil derricks, as it's pretty much impossible to not capture your own oil derrick. Although from time to time, we do indeed see it happen. Players sometimes don't quite get the chance, and that's always pretty hilarious, as we do have WalftheWolf going to be moving to the center ridge. He is going to be going for his third refinery, but we'll have to see, is it going to be airfield on the center ridge before that third refinery, or is he going to be going for something a little bit silly? C9 is going to be getting a full scout off, and actually he's going to be doing pretty much the same thing while WalftheWolf gets a full scout off. Neither one of these players has an airfield just yet. And a nice pickup there by C9 is going to be killing at least one Peacekeeper. Might actually get a second one here, as he does get the amplified bark off just in time. But WalftheWolf sells the barracks and annihilates that dog. So which one of these players is going to be going for the third refinery first, and which one of these players is going to be going for either a war factory or an airfield before that third refinery? We'll have to see. I mean, they could both be going for that or refinery before anything, or they could both be going for what WalftheWolf is doing, which is what I just said. He has decided to go for that refinery. He does like his 3 refinery starts before any real sort of heavy unit production. Barracks is pretty lightweight for unit production. It's not exactly the most expensive stuff, but what is he going to be following it up with? An airfield, or is it indeed going to be an armor facility for those units? We'll have to see. As C9, it looks like he has been going for his own refinery, getting that third base up and doing some really nice damage here. Got about a quarter of health almost off of that MCV. Going to be doing some really nice DPS to them. Some multi-gunner turret shooting it down almost immediately. There got hardly any rockets off. And I'm not sure if WalftheWolf actually threw any units inside of it. However, WalftheWolf picking up 5, now 6 Peacekeeper kills. So I think in total, WalftheWolf actually got a little bit ahead there, as C9 is actually going to be throwing down a second barracks and moving his MCV up the middle of the map. So WalftheWolf knows about this. His dog did indeed get that scout off, while C9 doesn't actually know what WalftheWolf is doing. However, WalftheWolf isn't doing anything, so it's not that big of a deal that C9 doesn't have eyes on it directly. WalftheWolf needs to pull back. He doesn't want to engage if he doesn't have to. I mean, the numbers are pretty even, but I think C9 does have an advantage there. However, C9 with the MCV on the front line, that is going to cause absolute mayhem here, as WalftheWolf will not be able to just stand and fire. That will be absolute suicide. So he's going to be forced to micro, while C9 can effectively just A-move. He doesn't have to worry about the MCV of WalftheWolf. However, really nice moves here by C9. He is going to be crushing 3, 4, and maybe even 5 Peacekeepers, while the rest of his Peacekeeper line is getting pretty much torn apart by the multi-gunner turret and the Peacekeepers of WalftheWolf. A number of them there. I think C9 has actually lost more, but he's doing his best to even it up. Some nice control here with the MCV. WalftheWolf not responding as he necessarily could be. And we do have WalftheWolf going to be forced to pull back. C9 going to be pushing forward a little bit here with his Peacekeepers. He's got the MCV camped right outside of the barracks. Might be going on the reverse move as well. Will be forcing the sell-off of that barracks. And we do have the MCV going to be moving into the other barracks, going for those big crushes. WalftheWolf is quite heavily collected here, as C9 is going to be pushing in with more Peacekeepers. He's going to be doing insane DPS to that multi-gunner turret. He might actually be able to focus them down quite readily, but he gets trapped there. Actually, C9 getting completely trapped, and on the back end of things, we have the WalftheWolf. His dog is actually going to be cutting off reinforcements from C9. It looks like both of these players lost pretty much everything. C9 in the middle there actually got completely torn up by those multi-gunner turrets, and WalftheWolf actually does now have a fully heroic dog camping outside of the barracks of C9. C9, when is he actually going to be noticing this, as another Peacekeeper does indeed fall? His production is effectively halved, but he's still spending that money. Another Peacekeeper does fall. It looks like he has canceled production and turned a Peacekeeper down to go ahead and deal with this dog. And this dog, who is fully heroic, who's fully saving WalftheWolf from having to deal with even more units, gets annihilated there, fully heroic, and yet a single Peacekeeper blast completely removes it from this game. So incredibly sad there, as WalftheWolf will be losing his favorite little puppy there. But once again, we have the battle of the multi-gunner turrets, and WalftheWolf has actually done a significant amount of damage to the Conyard of C9. We do have the airfield down for both of these players, but I mean, he was going to be winning that war of the airfields, because of course, if you go for the Vindicators, that'll help you clear out the multi-gunner turrets and the Peacekeepers quite readily, but if you go for those Apollos, you can deny Vindicators, Cryocopters, and of course, the air superiority of your opponent, which can give you a nice advantage in itself. C9 is going to be going for Vindicators, it does look like, although he does now have his dual racks up, production up and going now. C9 going to be bringing in the cryo shot, a nice sell-off there by WalftheWolf, but if C9 is firing off his own cryo shot, WalftheWolf likely has one ready to go as well. As you can see, WalftheWolf going to be transforming some of those guys to that Peacekeeper shield, riot shield mode, and he will actually be able to get just enough range out of his multi-gunner turret to go ahead and eliminate that multi-gunner turret of C9's. A nice Cryocopter Vindicator combo out of WalftheWolf. Is he going to be able to hold the line back home? He very well may be, as C9 is not actually putting on a ton of pressure. However, C9 doesn't actually have anything to deal with this Cryocopter. Does he have any Apollos? No, it looks like just 2 Vindicators. He might be building an Apollo, but it's going to be too late to deal with this Cryocopter. We'll have to see if he's actually able to save any of these Harvesters, as I don't think he's really built too many Javelin Troopers. It looks like he doesn't actually have the income to finish whatever he's building, which is likely going to be an Apollo. He desperately needs anti-air here, but there's no Javelin Troopers. The barracks has been sold off, which means the closest thing is going to be that Apollo. Is it actually going to be heading out? Yes, it is just now finishing. It's good that he did have that queued in time. However, the Cryocopter has already arrived, and he is going to be going for the Cryocopter. Cryocopters can tank quite a bit of damage on the front line. C9 is not going to be engaging just yet. It looks like the Cryocopter will likely be going down, but it doesn't even matter. All 3 of the Prospectors have been eliminated. The Cryocopter goes down, and the Vindicator might actually be getting eliminated by the multi-gunner turrets. No, it looks like the Apollo is going to be pulling back here. The multi-gunner turret is going to be getting a couple shots off. Will he actually be able to eliminate it? One more rocket should do the job. Yes, he does. Eliminate that Vindicator. It goes down, but it took care of 3K worth of Prospectors, and the lost mining time is going to be absolutely terrible for C9. WalftheWolf going to be losing that multi-gunner turret, but will get some nice shots off on that Apollo. He does not have enough to take it down, which is a little bit of a problem for WalftheWolf, because he wants to be able to produce. Actually sold off his airfield completely, so he doesn't even have to worry about that air superiority. A couple of IFVs, a couple of Javelin Troopers with the multi-gunner turrets will help even things up in the skies. However, C9, it looks like entirely just Peacekeepers. Of course, he's got the elite Peacekeeper, who we secretly all hate because dogs are awesome, and also fully heroic dogs don't happen very often. But that guy is super brave. He was able to kill a dog with a shotgun, but that dog was a hero. As we do have Guardian tanks out with that Laser Painter. That is going to be absolutely awesome here for WalftheWolf. Of course, Laser Painter does deal damage, it boosts damage is what I want to say, by 50% by default. If you get high technology, then it boosts it by 100%. Which means it's like, hey, 1 shotgun blast now does the damage of 2 shotgun blasts. As you can see, C9 is going to be rolling in here, firing off cryo shot, and also with his Vindicators eliminating the multi-gunner turret on the front line. However, it looks like C9 is going to be pushing forward here. The Peacekeepers, are they going to be able to hold the line? A couple of pickups there by C9, losing only one Peacekeeper in the process, but he might actually be, almost snipes down that Guardian tank, but he doesn't quite get it. It looks like C9 is going to be possibly able to clear out the... No, yeah, WalftheWolf is definitely going to be losing his multi-gunner turret. No hope of really evening that up for C9. He is going to be pushing in here with the Vindicators. He might be able to break the front door of WalftheWolf. No, WalftheWolf is going to be able to hold the line. C9 deciding to pull back, although an extra kill picked up by C9 is going to be really nice there. However, looks like Peacekeepers are getting annihilated here. The splash damage absolutely insane. A nice sell-off there by WalftheWolf will actually be claiming one of the Vindicators of C9. So that was a nice pickup from WalftheWolf. He got the sell-off on the multi-gunner turret and was also able to take down that Vindicator. It looks like a couple of Peacekeepers going to be getting claimed here. C9 going to be hesitating there and clicking back and forth. Not really sure what he wants to do. Three Peacekeepers do get claimed by C9. Just the war of these Peacekeepers. It's so close since it is going to be a mirror matchup. But WalftheWolf is going to be pressing forward. C9 going to be splitting off a contingency, which... Oh, too bad he actually just used that cryo shot. Does he actually have a cryocopter? I don't think so. I don't actually know if he has the tier 2 up and running just yet. He may be finishing that as we speak. He's certainly building something. And I mean, it might just be a multi-gunner turret and something else. But we'll have to see, because without the cryo shot to go ahead and take down those walls, he's going to be wasting Vindicator bombs on those walls, which he hasn't actually done just yet. WalftheWolf does have, it looks like, one less Peacekeeper. And WalftheWolf is going to be losing that wall there. He has to be very careful because, of course, shotguns from Peacekeepers. They may be shotguns, but they're great at killing buildings. And with these numbers, WalftheWolf might actually go ahead and produce a Riptide or two to help him even up the Peacekeepers down here in the south. That would definitely allow him to deal with those Peacekeepers quite readily. However, as it stands, he's got only like 5 to the 6 of C9, and actually the Vindicator will be evening things up quite a bit, as WalftheWolf is actually going to be losing pretty much every single one of his Peacekeepers. The last guy with the Riot Shield wasn't able to do a whole lot. However, now the oil refinery is going to be getting targeted down. WalftheWolf is going to have to deal with this. He turns his entire army to the front line, but we do have an Athena cannon back here, which could get sniped quite easily by those Peacekeepers. However, C9 is going to be losing all of his Peacekeepers in the back end of the base. It doesn't look like that Cryocopter was really able to do a whole lot. It was forced to pull back. WalftheWolf losing a fair number of Peacekeepers. C9 not engaging on the front side of things, not going to be engaging directly into WalftheWolf's main. And this Athena cannon, the tier 3 tech up, it was a little bit of a risk because it completely stops any unit, or it completely costs a lot of money, is what I want to say. It costs a lot of money, so it can put your army production significantly behind, but if you can play defensively and hold the line while you get that tier 3 up, then it can be a pretty big advantage. As you can see, WalftheWolf is like, oh, did you spend money on those multi-gunner turrets? Well, I guess I'll just eliminate them from safety, from my main base, where you can't actually really hit me without going to be charging into defenses of my own. The Guardian tank cannon going to be firing off here. The laser painter going to be doing some, boosting the damage rather, but it does look like the Vindicator is going to be able to eliminate that Athena cannon without too much trouble. However, the Cryocopter is getting dangerously low on HP. A couple of IFVs going to be pushing forward to go ahead and take them down. The Peacekeepers are going to be rushing into the middle of things, but they're taking a huge amount of damage. They were just moving in. They weren't moving. They were just passively moving into the middle there. It looks like a Cryocopter or two might have been getting eliminated there. Only one did go down, I do believe. However, it looks like C9 may be getting the kill on one of these multi-gunner IFVs. Yes, he does indeed get the kill on that multi-gunner. And C9 is actually going to be... C9 is actually going to be killing the Peacekeeper of WalftheWolf while he loses his own multi-gunner turret. So not in time realizing that WalftheWolf needs to make sure that he gets the repairs on those IFVs, so he doesn't end up losing them unnecessarily. However, the Athena cannon is now on the front line. It did get rebuilt. The Aegis shields failing at the last minute as the Vindicator bombs crashed into the previous Athena cannon. And the Cryocopter has to be so careful here. It does get eliminated. C9 throwing away that Cryocopter. The Athena cannon pulling back. WalftheWolf very careful not to take any damage on that Athena cannon, as I almost choke and die there. But WalftheWolf does certainly have an advantage, and C9 has lost quite a few base defenses. I'm not sure who's actually going to be ahead in terms of units lost and that sort of thing, because they have been pretty much on equal economy for almost this entire game, if not the entire game. But as you can see, this artillery is going to be a really nice pickup, although we do have the insta-heal of the MCV. and the immediate pack up. C9 could be going for another big push. WalftheWolf can just hold the line if he's lucky, but we'll have to see, does he have enough to really hold against the MCV? It's severely late here, as 4 Peacekeepers get picked off, a 5th even getting eliminated possibly there, as the Vindicators are going to be sweeping in. They do take down 1 IFV, but there's still 3 IFVs on the front line of Peacekeepers, as well as the multi-gunner turrets. The Athena Cannon may actually be getting eliminated. There are a nice pickup there by C9. That freezing is not going to be happening because the Cryocopter does get eliminated here, but Peacekeepers are getting crushed, but does it even matter? There's still multi-gunner turrets, which are stopping the rest of the damage output from C9. Even the Guardian Cannon going to be pretty darn useful here, as the Athena Cannon Aegis Shield does go up, completely blocking the bombs of those Vindicators. One of the Vindicators does get eliminated. The rest, oh, the second one does get eliminated as well. C9 with no actual attacking units, just the MCV going in for that crush, will be getting stopped on the front lines. The brilliant defense from WalftheWolf will be claiming in game number 3. The aggressiveness of C9 just did not pay off. And that will do it for game number 3. As you can see, WalftheWolf did actually come out ahead in that match. And the graphs taking an exceedingly long time to load, but we currently do have them. As you can see, I forgot actually about that harassment, which happened kind of in the middle of the game there. WalftheWolf killing off those 3 prospectors was a pretty big deal, effectively almost completely eliminating for, 30 seconds or so the economy of C9. He really was just on that oil derrick until he could rebuild those prospectors. So 12 minutes and C9 drops game number 3. WalftheWolf takes the lead in this best of 7 for the 5-year anniversary 1v1 tournament. I hope you're enjoying these games because we have more to come in part 2 of this series. So this is going to be Sybert signing out. Thank you very much for watching, and part 2 will be coming in just a couple days.